right now,
Oh,
she and Peter. And she's agreed, and we're so thrilled to have her share with us tonight some of her favorite dishes and her approaches. Take it away, Desiree.
All right, I will take it away. Well, I thought I would, well, first, my history is we moved here in August from the Annapolis, Maryland area. So that's where we came from. I'm originally from New York. Peter, my husband, is originally from Wales in the UK. And we have 4 children, 2 in their 20s that are living in Washington, D.C. right now, and living their lives and working. And we have the other 2 with us. We have a college student who's working remotely, who's supposed to be in New York. And then I've got a student, an 11th grader at the Block Island School here. So that's our deal.
Great.
And my background is I was doing my own personal chef catering business back in our little town. And so I thought I would bring some of my knowledge and experience from that to this Zoom. So since it's after the holidays, even though none of us had any great big grand holidays, I think a lot of people we still indulged probably when we shouldn't have. So I thought I would focus today on just some healthy eating. And so whether you just want to eat healthy in general, if you want to start like in baby steps, you know, the like meatless Mondays got really popular, people moving away from, you know, eating less meat and more fish or more vegetables, or if you have health issues, you know, cholesterol or sugar issues. You know, I'm not a nutritionist, but some of my clients did have specific nutritional needs. So I did a lot of, you know, gluten-free things or no sugar, no oil. So in going forward in the future, if anyone ever has a question about wanting to try something new, just email me, because I mean, I can talk about food all day. And so I pretty much today have everything just about done. I think the caterer in me needed to be prepared and prepped. So I won't be doing a lot of active cooking, but I'm going to show you stuff. So I decided to pick one item today that's healthy, that probably not a lot of people eat a lot of, but that we can still get at the Block Island grocery store or your Peapod, which is tofu. And I know a lot of people are probably going to go, but I promise you, I'm going to show you 3 ways to make it taste really, really good. It's good. It's high protein. There's no cholesterol, no saturated fats. It's just really good to use in place of a dairy or of a meat. And there's all kinds of different tofus. Some are silken, which is like kind of really kind of smushy, soft, liquidy type tofu, all the way up to a really solid, extra firm. And certain tofus are used for different things, but you can always substitute one for the other. You really can for the most part. And especially, you know, living on an island, we have to cook out of our pantries and out of our fridges. So, you know, we can't always be running out for things. So today's all about tofu. And so the first, I thought I would do one just kind of traditional dinner entree. And then I thought I would show you something for breakfast and then a dessert. So the first thing I'm going to do so I can get it in the oven for my family who is going to want to have dinner is I'm kind of making a lasagna. And it's meatless. So I'm going to put some beans in it, and it doesn't have any dairy. So I'm going to make a ricotta. I'm Italian, my Italian background, Italian American background. So it's a real challenge to eat healthy. And, you know, olive oil is my best friend, and Parmesan and Romano, you know, all those classic foods. But this is just a way not to always eat it, but just to give it a try. So I made a ricotta from tofu. So all you do, and I think I gave the ingredients list to Gloria, so I think she disseminated that. But I'm just going to show you what it looks like after. Let me see if you guys can see this. So what I did is, instead of making a traditional lasagna, can you guys see that? Can they see it, Gloria? Everyone's on mute. Yes, okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing like little
We
roll-ups.
can see it.
Okay. I'm doing little roll-ups instead of the traditional layers of lasagna, just because it's just something different. And in those roll-ups, and then I start layering it in the lasagna tray on top of a sauce. Doesn't have to be homemade sauce. I use jarred tonight, my jarred Rayos, which is my favorite. I'll put all those roll-ups in there. I'll cover it with some more sauce, and then I will cover it with some parchment paper and some foil, and just cook it in the oven on 375 or 400, like I would cook a regular lasagna. And those roll-ups that you saw, pardon me, what I put in there was some drained and rinsed cannellini beans, white beans. But you can use any kind of bean you have. You could use a kidney bean or a chichi, a garbanzo bean. I sauteed some spinach, and to keep it healthy, because that's our theme, I didn't use any oil. I used a little vegetable broth to wilt the spinach down with a little onion powder and a little nutmeg, because I recommend always putting nutmeg with your greens. I don't know, my great grandmother from Naples always did it, so that's what I do. And then the ricotta. So what you do is, if you have food processor, a Cuisinart, and if you don't have one, or you don't want to use it, you don't want to get it dirty and clean it, you can just use it in a bowl. You kind of take your tofu out of the package and you drain it, because the tofu always has a lot of water in it. You throw it in your bowl or in your Cuisinart, and then we're going to flavor it. So you can use any fresh or dried herbs you want. I was actually out of all fresh herbs, so I just used some dried basil and some dried oregano, some onion powder. I put a fresh garlic clove in there because I had it. You could use garlic powder. The squeeze of a lemon, because a lot of times when you're doing this healthy cooking and you don't get any meat and you don't get any cheese, you don't get much oil, you really got to over season, I found, because you got to find flavor somewhere, right? And if you're not frying down, pancetta or bacon fat or, things like that, or some cheese, you need to find the flavor. So, and whatever herbs that are your favorite. Sometimes I'll throw some scallions in there to give it more of an onion flavor. And then you just either start blitzing it up in your Cuisinart, or you mix it around in your bowl. And then as you're mixing, you're going to see it's just all going to kind of crumble and come together. And you need it to be a little more softer. So you can add one of two things. If you want to do no oil and be super, super healthy and not have any oil in this dish, you can add some non-dairy milk, like some almond milk or some soy milk. And when I mean add milk, I just mean a couple tablespoons as you're stirring. What I did tonight for mine is I drizzled some extra virgin olive oil in to give it some flavor. And that really helps to liquefy it and makes it taste really good. And right before I'm done, I throw in the zest of the lemon that I had zested, because remember, we put some lemon juice in that, and salt and pepper. And as far as amounts, there's not really a recipe here. It's just what you like. Everyone on this call is obviously interested in cooking and cooks, and you throw the herbs in and you taste it and you see how you like it. And that becomes your ragout. So there's no cheese, there's no eggs, what I would typically put in it for a lasagna or a mangot filling. And so that's pretty much that dish. And tofu, one of the reasons why I also chose it for today, it absorbs any flavor you want to add to it. And so any ethnic dish, whether you're going to cook Italian or Greek or Thai or anything, it just absorbs the flavors. So if you have something that you like to make that's a traditional meat dish, you can always substitute tofu in different ways. And definitely email me if you have questions about that. So that's pretty much that dish. When I cook the noodles prior. A lot of times now everyone uses the no cook lasagna noodles. For what I did today, because I wanted to do the roll-ups, I cooked the noodles this morning al dente, so they're a little chewy, just so I could get it to roll. But if you have the no cook noodles and you don't want to go with that extra step, because it's an extra step and got an extra pot to clean and all that, just make this in a traditional lasagna layered way. And you can add a lot of other things. Sometimes I'll add layers of, eggplant or zucchini to make up for the noodles if you want less carbs and, more veg. Tonight, I use the type of noodles. I went over the top tonight and I went gluten-free. These you can get, I'm really into, since we've moved to the island and I can't get to Whole Foods in 10 minutes when I want, I order a lot of my non-perishables from a company called Thrive, Thrive. I'm obsessed with it because everything, any non-perishable for the most part, and including, pet food and bathroom essentials and beauty essentials. I love it. So anyhow, this is from, and I am not affiliated with them in the least, but this is a noodle that's made with rice. And they're pretty good. Some of the gluten, when I used to have gluten-free clients, some of the gluten-free stuff is pretty horrible. And remember, when you're trying to eat healthy, a lot of these, gluten-free things or things that claim they're vegan and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're still processed foods, so they're not particularly good for you. So, so I always advise, and again, I'm not a nutritionist, but in my experience, I just always really tried to use homemade or whole foods or, kind of the way nature made it. There's a guy a doctor that I don't even know if he's a medical doctor, that I followed for years. I mean, he's been popular for decades before all of this, before we were all eating kale and drinking juices. His name is Dr. Andrew Weil, Weil. And I don't know if anyone knows what he looks like. He's kind of looks like Santa Claus with a beard. And, years ago when I started, when I was starting cooking and interesting in healthy foods, he always says, look on the package. And if your grandmother wouldn't recognize the ingredients on the package, he says, don't eat it. So anyhow. So that's that. And if you hold true to that, it would be very difficult, but it's a good little tip.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm going to move on and quickly show you.
Question, Desiree.
Yes.
Could you tell us the type of tofu you used?
Yes, I can. Let me get it here. So I try to always only use organic if I can. I know we can't always get that, but at the Block Island grocery, you can, just because soybeans,
Yes.
are one of the most chemically treated crops in the country. So if we can avoid the chemicals, why not? Tofu is so cheap anyways. So today I'm cooking all with extra firm. And so I recommend that for the most part. The silken, because it is very soft and liquidy, sometimes it doesn't hold up in certain things you want. So if you're just going to stock up on some tofu at the store, because it lasts for months and months, just get a couple of the extra firm. And then for the most part, when you use it, you drain it. And then I pat it dry with paper towels. There's certain tofu dishes if you want to be frying things, because sometimes, you can fry it and use it in an Asian dish, or you can fry it and almost use it as like you would use a patty, or instead of bacon on a BLT, you could have a tofu LT. Yes, that's for real. And it's not that bad. And in those cases, when you want it really dry, you kind of wrap it in some paper towels and like weight it down with another plate or a pan and let it sit for an hour or so. And that'll squish out all the other moisture. And then you'll have some nice dry tofu, and you can do all kinds of fun stuff. Buffalo sauce, make it,
Is there a
chicken
brand name?
Pardon me?
Is there a brand name, or is it just
There's not. And I got to say, the one that I've been buying down here at the grocery is really good. But there's not a brand name I recommend. I just recommend trying to do the organic. So yeah. And so another favorite food of mine that I like to make healthier is breakfast, right? It's easy to have an unhealthy breakfast, and we want bacon and ham and eggs and cheese and all that. So I'm going to show you this because you're going to think it looks just like scrambled eggs. Oops. Okay. So that is a tofu scramble, and you'll see on the ingredients list. You can come in there. And the key to this is when you're making your tofu scramble, just pretend you're making scrambled eggs. So put in it whatever you like. I put in this one tomatoes and some spinach and some onions. But the key is to make it look like eggs, because tofu is white. Where's my turmeric? I know everyone cooks, so everyone know that, dried turmeric, which is a nice bright yellow. So what I do is I take a pan and I cook down whatever vegetables you're going to use, or if you had leftover vegetables from the night before, put it in your pan and take your tofu that you have patted dry, and just with your hands, I just crumple it all up in the pan, in a little saute pan. And then I try to add some flavoring, because, the tofu really doesn't have much flavor. So we add salt and pepper, onion powder I like, some oregano is good, paprika. You can use some crushed red pepper if you want it a little spicy. But then the key is you take anywhere from, 1 to 3 teaspoons of turmeric. I put it in a little glass or a little dish with a little warm water, a couple tablespoons, equal. If you used a tablespoon of turmeric, use 1 or 2 tablespoons of warm water. And then you have this like liquidy, orangey, yellow stuff, and you pour it all over your items in the pan. And it turns everything a beautiful bright yellow. You just stir that up till it's hot. Everything's cooked. And that becomes breakfast. I mean, you can put, sometimes if I have it, if I've gotten it on the mainland, I'll put some good quality dairy-free cheese on it. But really, to keep it super healthy, you just kind of eat it like that with some toast. And one other item, which I forgot to tell you about on the top of the lasagna, is another huge thing with all of the healthy cooking going on, is nutritional yeast. I don't know if anyone cooks with that. I sprinkle this on top of the lasagna when it's done. Since we're not using any grated cheese, we're not using any Parmesan or Romano. It's not going to taste like cheese, but if you're trying to be healthy and willing to do without, it tastes a little nutty, cheesy. You get used to it. That's all I'm going to say. But it does the trick. And this you can also sprinkle a little on your eggs. I mean, if I'm eating healthy, we put this, I go through droves of this. And again, it's super easy to find. Nutritional yeast. It's really high in vitamins, in the B vitamins, which if you're not eating meat, you're probably not getting a lot of that. So, and again, I'm not a nutritionist, but that's just my commentary. So, so there's that. And then the final dish that I also already made for you is dessert. It's only 4 ingredients and it takes 5 minutes and there's no baking. And that is, I made a chocolate cream pie. A lot of times I'll put berries if it's summertime, or I can chop up some nuts, some walnuts or almonds on top before I cut it. This is a chocolate cream pie that's in a graham cracker crust that I bought. I did not make it. It was a pre-made crust that I actually had left over from Thanksgiving that I never used. And the 4 ingredients are, again, you use your Cuisinart, your food processor, or a bowl. It does work better in the food processor because that really, really gets the ingredients to incorporate. But again, you can still just do it with an old-fashioned hand mixer or a spoon. You're just going to throw everything in together, and it's just going to be 1 pack of the drained tofu. Now, ideally, this recipe would be best with the silken tofu, but I didn't have it. I used the extra firm. It was fine, because you're going to add a package of tofu. I think the recipe is 3/4 cup of a nut milk, like an almond milk or soy or rice milk, whatever you like. And sometimes those milks come flavored, so get the vanilla. I typically don't buy a lot of the flavored nut milks because a lot of times they have a lot of added sugar. So what I do is I buy, a no added sugar, let's say almond milk, and I'll just put a teaspoon of vanilla extract in there. So we have our tofu, our milk, and our vanilla, and then like 3/4 cup of melted chocolate. Just if you have chocolate chips or chocolate baking bars, any chocolate you like. I mean, you can use milk, you can use semi-sweet, you can use dark. I like dark, so today I use dark. and you just smush it all around and it just becomes this big chocolatey mess that looks like chocolate cream or chocolate pudding. It's tofu, and you fill it in your pie crust and you stick it in the refrigerator, and really after half an hour or an hour, it's firmed up nicely and it's really good. And this is the one that I would say that I fooled the most people with, who want to kind of be like, no, I don't want it. If you don't tell anyone it's tofu, they're not going to guess. They're going to say it tastes a little different, but they're not going to guess. And it's really good. And my only tip, if you're going to try that pie, is typically your nut milk was probably in the refrigerator as well as your tofu, so it's cold. So really make sure you melt those chocolate chips well, because once you pour that chocolate, the melted chocolate into the bowl or the food processor, that chocolate's going to seize right up really fast and it'll be hard to mix. But don't over melt it, because then your chocolate will break. It'll separate from the oil and you'll have a mess there. So those are my 2 tips for that. And I think that's pretty much the recipes. I probably should have saved more to cook with you, but I think I made myself over prepared. So
That's wonderful.
so I can take questions, or if anyone has other ideas, or if anyone absolutely hates tofu, tell me, and maybe I could think of something else to substitute instead of the tofu.
I have a cheese question.
Who's saying that?
I think Sandra.
Yes.
Sandra.
You said you buy some cheese as a replacement. Can you give us some ideas of what they are? And
I do. Let me figure. I have my husband's computer here. I'm trying to figure out how to put the volume up. Hold on. Yeah, there he is. Thank you. Yeah. So as far as the non-dairy dairy, I find there's a couple really good brands. One is, and typically you can get them at Whole Foods. Sometimes Trader Joe's, they're starting to have more of it. I'd say my top 3 would be a Kite Hill, Kite. Kite Hill makes great cheeses. They make great yogurts. They make sour cream. They actually make their own regat, but it's $8 for this tiny little container. And frankly, my tofu regat tastes just as good, and it's 1/8 the price. And they make some great cream cheese, which I do. That's kind of a staple. If I'm going off and going to hit Whole Foods, I will stock up on the Kite Hill cream cheese. And then there's a Miyokonos. It's a weird name. They're always in black packages with white writing. And those are cultured. So those are like gut friendly too. And she makes really good cream cheeses and just dips, like to dip, pretzels or chips or whatever in, or vegetables.
What's the name of that?
It's called Miyokos. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. Yeah. Miyokos. You know what? I think I might have some of their butter. I do. This is what the logo looks like.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, and Trader Joe's has this for a fact, that I know. And so these ones that I've recommended, I feel like are less processed, and they're more made with like almond milk or cashews. Oh, I want to say one more thing. When I made this lasagna, typically, I know, and I remember when I watched, was it Sandra who made the homemade pasta with
Yeah.
Right, Sandra, yes. So I know, Sandra, you probably agree that when I make a traditional lasagna, I usually put a layer of like a bechamel in there. And you can make a really healthy bechamel sauce, which is, white cream sauce. And you can make one with cashews. So I think another time that I'm doing this, maybe I'll focus on making some healthy like sauces and dressings that you think are all creamy and cheesy and gooey. Which will not have all the bad fats. They'll have the good fats and low cholesterol and all that. And I make a bechamel with cashews, believe it or not. And again, that has fooled the biggest critics as well. So I'll remember that for next time.
How often do you typically make something like the tofu lasagna? Like how often would your family eat it? Like once a week or a couple times a month?
Well, so now that there's just 4 of us here and my 2 older children are not here, we are eating plant-based pretty much 99% of the time, because my 2 other kids eat this way. When the older ones come, that's when I get all the good stuff. And then my husband has a field day. But I force him to eat this way with us for the most part, just because it's better for him. And no, so about, I don't know, about 6, 7 years ago, I had some health problems. Nothing super serious, but enough to put me on medications and all that. And that was kind of the genesis of this. I was doing my personal chef business and I was in the catering, and then I was getting sick, and I kind of just, I didn't want to be on pills anymore. And so, it was high blood pressure and I was having stomach problems. So when I made this move, I did it really drastically. And, I feel like it cured a lot of my ailments. That's not going to be the same for everyone, but it really helped me. And so then I started slowly, I was cooking 2 things every day, my family, and then I was doing stuff for myself. And I slowly would introducing them into things. And then it kind of exploded, and 50% of the family was like, I'm going to do this. And the other half were like, I'm not. So I'm still kind of cooking both for everyone, but now that it's just the 4 of us, we've, and it's, we're bad over the holidays, but, we're almost out of all the cheese and all that stuff out of the fridge. So,
So is it like your reasons, and this could be personal, but like, is it like, do you just try to avoid things high in carbs or high in sugar? Is it like kind of an easy black and white sort of?
yeah, well, I really try to focus on no animal products. I have a real sweet tooth. So actually my new thing is I'm really trying to lower the added sugars. So I've been recipe testing, because I'm not working right now, but I'm still trying to come up with things for eventually when this whole COVID thing is over. I'm hoping to get back to it. I'm trying to do a lot of baking with things like maple syrup or dates, like make a date paste. If you pit your dates, they're dried dates, and you put them in like a smoothie maker, just with some warm water and zhuzh it up, you get this like really sweet paste. And I've been putting that in baked goods, trying to test that out. And honey, just kind of natural sugars, because I do have such a sweet tooth. But yeah, so no, I'm really, and I can't do without carbs. Oh my God, I'm Italian. So, if I don't eat bread and pasta every other day, I think I would, I would shrivel up. So, but yeah, but it's the no animal stuff. So no meat, I eat some fish, and it's the no dairy. And the no dairy, that was for me, it helped my stomach problems. And sometimes I will go down, and even this summer, I went down to Aldo's and had some gelato, and I said, I'm just going to pay the price. And I did it, and it was wonderful. So, yeah, I think everyone kind of has to, pick and choose, and see how you feel,
Yeah.
And another question I had, and this will be the last one for me, is when you heat up the chocolate, do you use like a chocolate cooking pan, or do you do it in the microwave?
So I cheat and I do it in the microwave. You can do it the traditional way in like a double boiler.
Mhm.
You put some water in a saucepan and you put another bowl on top of that and slowly melt it. You'll never break your chocolate that way. But if you do it in the microwave and just do it at 30-second intervals.
That's actually, I've recently mastered that. But
Yeah, it's great. Because then
yeah.
it's less stuff to clean up, right? I mean, who wants it when you're doing all this and you gotta do a double boiler, like really,
Thank you.
Are you using authentic chocolate chips, or are they tofu chocolate chips?
They are vegan, the ones I have now. I can't always get them, but I got them with my Thrive order. These are vegan dark chocolate chips. But you can use your Toll House chips. It's still good, and it's still going to be healthier than using a bunch of butter and eggs and cream.
Right.
God, we gotta live a little, right? So
That's right. Absolutely.
I have a question. Once you open a package of tofu, how long will it last in the refrigerator?
yeah, it can go bad. I would say not longer than a week. I mean, you'll smell it. It'll smell off. It'll just smell weird. But yeah, I think if you keep it sealed, and keeps, when you first open it, save some of that liquid it comes in, And yeah, just keep it sealed. And I would say a week. Because yeah, if you want to make a little tofu scramble just for yourself, you can break some off in there and cook with whatever you're going to do. And yeah, I think that would be fine.
Great.
So have I grossed you all out with an hour of tofu, or is anyone going to try it, you think?
Oh, we will.
No?
My daughter is here, and a year or more ago, I think I mentioned to some friends, I had been leaning vegetarian for a very long time, and like yourself, had some issues, physical issues, and decided last year when I was visiting her to join her on vegetarian eating and cooking, and loved it. And I have, so it's a year to date, and she's been with us now for 3 months. So I'm going to pass this along to her because she's been really going gung ho on this stuff. So I love this. I'm going to put her on the recorded version of you, Desiree, so she can see it
Wonderful.
herself.
Oh, wonderful. That's
I'm really excited about it. Very.
wonderful.
Any other questions of Desiree?
Oh, it's great. Where on High Street do you live?
Yeah. So we are renting, it's called the Cape House behind the Bellevue.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, we've kind of adopted this kind of, we're learning this kind of Block Island gypsy life till we figure out how to get a house here. So yeah, so we were up when we first got here in August, we were up by the bluffs down off Spring Street in a house, and that was awesome. And now we're here, and then we are moving in May. We found year-round housing, so everyone's telling us how that's like huge.
Huge.
So yeah, so we're going to be down over we're going to be smaller, but over down on Center Road. So we're going to be in kind of an apartment. So where it's going to be myself, Peter, my husband, and our high schooler. But it looks like our college student also is going to be remaining remote. It looks like his school is going to give that option. So just if anyone knows, I need to find him a room for the fall because we can't fit him in our apartment. So yeah, so shoot me off an email looking for a 1-room private bathroom. But I think I'll post on the bulletin, and
Yeah.
we'll find him. And it's what's funny is he loves it here. He was supposed to be living with one of my other kids. I have a son and daughter in DC, and they both have apartments. And he was there for a while because he goes to school in New York City, which is remote. And he came to visit here in late October, early November, and he loves it. And he's like, I'm staying. So he wants to stay, and he does his thing.
It must be all that good food too.
So yeah, so I think, it's funny. So
And it's very like the fact that you got year-round housing is like unheard of to find.
I know. I know. That's why
you have like good luck.
I know. No, I know. Well, it's funny, it was a place that we, so we've been coming here, vacationing here, for 25 years. I mean, we tried to move here, several times over the past 20 years. It just, we could never make it happen. And then, the unfortunate COVID happened, and it just kind of, things unfolded. But yeah, so it was a place we would rent a lot when we would come with the kids on vacation for a week. And so we became kind of friends with the owner of the house. And that's, I learned you just got to ask. And I was like, would you ever do year-round housing? And, so yeah. So we're pretty excited. So the pressure's off now. So we could just kind of, because my daughter is in 11th grade, as you know, Susanna. She's the same grade as Stella. And so they still got their senior year. So, and it may be a normal senior year for the most of the time.
Let us hope. Yes.
Let's hope. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Desiree, you mentioned you were a personal chef.
Yes.
How long did you do that? And was that?
I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And it was a lot of work because it was just me. And it's funny. The way I started is I kind of started working a farmer's market, and I was making homemade soups, and my soups really took off. And then people started asking me if I did other stuff. So I just started getting all these clients at my weekly farmer's market. And so I stopped the farmer's market, stopped the soup business, and it says, hey, guess what? Now I'm this. And it got a little out of hand for my household because I was doing it out of my kitchen, kind of under the radar, because at least in Maryland, it was prohibitive to get all the licensing and all of that. And the cottage laws are really, you know, they're not very, they're not good cottage laws in Maryland. I know the different states have looser regulations, and I actually want to look into what the deal is here. But yeah, because it got to the point where my entire house had taken over with catering and personal chef, and I'm yelling at my 4 children not to touch anything because all the food was meant for other things. And I think everyone was just like done with me. So I stopped that. The last year that I was working before all of this, I took a job just with an actual caterer, like a brick and mortar place.
Okay.
And I did that. And then I quit after less than a year because you can't have 2 chefs in the kitchen, because I was the one that was right, not the caterer that owned it. So that, you know, so I just had to leave. I just, you know.
Well, good. I'm going to put you on the spot. You may or may not know about a senior lunch that we do here. And
No, no, is that
going-
the senior advisory that I see when I see that?
Well, that's part of it, but I'm going to give you a call. And
Okay.
and since you're very good with soups and maybe that tofu lasagna.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll give you a call.
Okay. I don't know if I can give you Italian, Sandra. That's
No,
too much
you don't-
pressure.
No, you do not have to give me Italian. Absolutely not.
I would like to cook Italian with you at some point when all of this COVID is over.
I think that would be fun. No, I mean, your tofu lasagna would be an excellent choice right there. But
Okay.
but we'll talk.
Okay.
And you have to
Desiree,
say
did you give the recipes all to Gloria? So
Oh.
she, no.
So you know what? I didn't get them, Desiree.
You
They-
did.
No, in fact, I was looking for them and I was going to call you before, but I thought, okay, if you send them now, I can distribute them, you know.
Okay. Well, that's
You
frightening.
can also send them to me as
Oh,
well.
good.
Okay.
That's easier because I have the list as well.
Okay.
Maybe do that. Send it to Susanna at the library and she has the immediate list.
So just send it to that regular library address that I had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so sorry, Gloria. I thought I clicked send on that. It must be sitting in my drafts.
Well, I don't
That's
know.
okay. We were all paying our attention was great. And
Oh, no, but I thought everyone had seen all the ingredients. So now I was rushing through things. All right. Well, it's all composed. So when we're done here, I can just click a button and it'll
Great.
send over.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
so
don't
excited.
worry about that. It was
Who-
very clearly done. You did it beautifully. No worries.
Okay.
I'm so excited. I have a new neighbor who is vegan. And when I learned she was vegan, my first response was, well, I'm never going to invite you for dinner.
That's right. That's right.
But now I can. Now I have no excuse.
Wonderful. Now you can make her this lasagna and that pie, and she will be over the moon.
That's it.
Yes.
That's right.
I'm going to call her up as soon as I get off the phone with you. We'll get off the
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I also want to agree that you said the Rayo sauce, is that the kind you like?
Yeah. I
That is-
mean,
that is
yeah.
very good.
it's
I've used it
good.
myself.
I've lied plenty of times with that Rayo sauce. I'll tell you that.
So do I.
You throw a can of San Marzano, mix it with that, and then yeah, it's homemade.
Homemade.
What about the pasta noodles? Are they vegan? What?
Yeah, this brand I just made tonight because I had it. You know, usually I'll just use a regular, but especially one of the kids who are here with the college student, he's like super into this stuff. So if I make something gluten free, he's like all into it. And these are rice based,
Hmm.
and it's the name of the brand, which you for sure can get at Whole Foods. It's called Jovial.
Okay.
And they taste good because, you know, some of those gluten-free noodles are gross. But I have had some good ones that are made from like chickpeas.
Yeah.
There's some that are made from lentils, but I don't do that's tough on my stomach. But if you're good with that, you know, that's a lot of lentil noodles. That's tough on the gut, depending on your system. But yeah, I mean, they've come a long way. But sometimes, you know, if you really want to do gluten-free or no carbs, then just make a lasagna with slices of zucchini and eggplant, you know, if you don't want the bread, you know, and then that's delicious, you know.
Yeah. It's wonderful. Okay.
This is great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.
This was fabulous.
Well, thank you. And
Really
thank you for letting a newbie just take over for an hour here.
Oh,
Thank you.
great.
Thank you. It was great.
It was wonderful. And next week, as you know, or don't know, Susan Stover is coming back and is doing a program for us next Wednesday night.
Even though it's a holiday?
Oh, I don't know. You know, it is inauguration day, so we have canceled the book group. So maybe we better see if people want to how they feel about that. That's true. But
Okay,
You
so
know,
we
I
can be
don't know.
back in touch,
we'll get back in touch. Okay. Yeah.
like sooner versus later, so.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Okay. Thank you,
Let's hope the
Desiree.
week goes well.
Yeah.
Thank you
Got it.
Thank
very much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Nice
so much,
meeting you.
Desiree.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Great meeting you.
Bye.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Great.